G'day, and a warm welcome to all who are tuning into the very first episode of the Where Every Voice Matters podcast. I'm your host, Valen Rapana, and I'm super excited to bring to you the show today, share with you some of the inspiring stories, the winnings, the learnings that can hopefully help you in your journey or wherever you are in your business journey. Today we have a very inspiring guest that we've brought into the studio, one who I'm wrapped and really excited to engage with. But before we do that, there's something special I want to do. I really want to acknowledge that we meet today on sacred land, Aboriginal land of the Yugambeh people. And I want to pay our respects to our leaders past and present. And for those that are participating, whether it's by audio or by video, we wish to welcome you all. So our special guest that we have in the studio, this particular woman has over 40 years of business experience, been in business for a long time with herself and her husband. She's an award-winning entrepreneur, a global investor, and her greatest achievement of all is that she is a mother of 10 wonderful children, 30 plus grandkids. Some of the other achievements that she's achieved over this time is she's built a 7-figure business. She leads a team of over 200 staff. She's a lover of fashion and travel. And most importantly, she's my mum. Welcome to the show, Leanne Rapana. Welcome, Mum.
Thanks, John. Good to be here.
Bit of an intro?
Bit of an intro.
Do you like it or what?
I loved it.
How did I do? 10 out of 10?
10.
Yeah, see, got Mum's vote, so that's enough, eh? What's been going on? We're here in the studio, here in this beautiful setup. Tell us a bit about what's been going on in your life just recently.
Well, recently I went to Europe for a holiday, and I call it a reset that I try and do, and I think a well-deserved reset after the last year that we've had with exponential growth, and just life being busy and getting in the way. Sometimes you forget to stop and look after you. So I had the privilege and the opportunity to go to the Amalfi Coast and go on a women's retreat there. I was invited to the retreat, so the retreat cost me nothing, which I'm extremely grateful for. Nothing but time, and lots of wins for me, which I'd like to share with you in time. But then coming home, and we came home and we had to unfortunately go to a funeral in New Zealand. But that's also, with lots of sadness comes lots of time with your cousins and reacquainting yourself and having, time with my parents at the Urupā there is always rewarding for me. It's a time where I can go in another form of reset. So yeah, that's right. Life's been busy.
It's been good though, eh? So you've look. Firstly, we can't go any further without addressing your outfit, and I want you to just talk us through it. What was the choices? Why did we go with this colorway? What is it? People are probably thinking, are you a painter? Are you a decorator? Tell us a little bit. The outfit, you got the fit going on. Just explain. Talk us through it.
Well, I think you said it in the intro there. I love fashion. I love my own flair and adding my own flair to things. I'm a nurse. And my staff might not wear this colour, but we wear some. Well, this is a Figs outfit, so we wear
Figs. Shout out Figs.
Yeah, Figs.
Yeah, big investment over here.
Yeah, that's a big investment. We also have our own line of scrubs as well, but this is one of our scrubs that I wear, and I'm known to wear bright coloured scrubs. I like colour because in the health sector, it's all about being bright and bubbly, and so this was me.
Cool. Where did this interest for fashion come from? Like, before we dig deep into your background, where did the interest for fashion come from? Was it instilled in you from was it a childhood thing? Was it a friend? Was it a cousin, a relative? Was your mum and dad into it? Quite trendy?
It's kind of always been in me. I mean, I'm an ex-hairdresser by trade, and so I always kept up with the freakiest haircuts in the very beginning to, growing my hair long and now being quite boring in the spectrum. But I do like, wearing hats and different glasses. It's I think it's just always been me. It's me. It's my.
I can testify. I can testify. There's been one of the oldest of your 10 kids. I remember many times when you would want to experiment with a male haircut. Might have been steps in the 80s. It might have been tracks in the 90s. It might have been a rat's tail in the 2000s. We all got it, and most of it was from your being on the leading edge of all that fashion stuff. Yeah.
I guess fashion's just always been. My mum was a dressmaker, and so she, I think, being realistic, I probably got that flair from her. She made hats as well, and so even as a young girl, I remember seeing her wardrobe, and she had this really beautiful tutu, and like a tutu then, and we're talking, I'm 62 this year, so you're talking 64 years ago, she would be wearing a tutu, and now that's all that the fashion cycle goes around and around, so she's, I'd have to say that my mother, I've probably instilled that by my mum. My dad was a bit of a smooth dresser too, don't get me wrong, so I guess I sort of came through, seeing them dress as children. And my mum would always make sure that, we had, we'd have family photos done every year, and every year we'd have a new Sunday outfit, as we called it, our Sunday outfit. That was our fit to wear to church on Sunday, but she always made sure that our shoes matched our dress, and our dress, the colours in our dress matched our jewellery and things like that. So I think it wasn't still really.
So, we've touched a bit about, your history, your family and that sort of thing. But for those that are listening, people that may know you, people that may be curious and interested, how did someone go from being a hairdresser to this, multi-award winning business owner and have investments all over the place? Let's strip it right back to the start. Let's take it right back. You can take it back as far as you want, but take us back to the start. Where did it all begin for Leanne? Where did you grow up? Where did you learn many of these traits? How did some of these, were they instilled in you? Take us right back where you grew up. Okay. You don't have to reveal the years, but I know you've already said you're over 60, so that'll do.
Okay, so, I was born in a little town called Porirua in Wellington, New Zealand.
Shout out to P-Town if anyone's tuning in.
And I went to school there. I grew up there for many years. Obviously, I'm from a little place called Takapua here, within that area of Porirua. It's on the Titahi Bay side. It's known as the Pa. So I grew up in there. Although I grew up in a Pa area, I had a very European mother. So I wasn't raised on the marae. I knew where the marae was. I knew to be respectful when I went there. But my parents never, it wasn't something that we lived and breathed down there. We were more about our faith.
And so by marae, you're referring, for those that don't know, you're referring to your Indigenous cultural side?
Indigenous cultural side.
Which is?
Māori.
Māori, yeah.
And so my father is Māori. My mother is part Māori Italian, and her father was Australian. So growing up, I was always very passionate about my Australian heritage, hence why I live here, being honest. That's why I live here. Anyway, I grew up there. I went away to boarding school at the age of 16 to Church College in Hamilton, New Zealand. It's a religious school. And there I met my husband. But I went there, and my mother was always very adamant that if we were to leave school, we had to leave with something. So I wanted to leave school. She said, well, go find yourself a trade. And at the time, I was really passionate about being a mechanic or a butcher. Sounds really weird, I know, but that's what I was really passionate about. That's what I wanted to be, was either a butcher or a mechanic. Our local butcher down the road, my dad's friend, and Tiding was his name, talked me out of that. Said, butcher's no place for a young girl to be, so I strongly advise that you don't follow that path. So then I said to my dad, well, I want to be a mechanic. And back in those days, for a woman to be a mechanic or a young girl to be a mechanic was just not heard of. It was
a male-driven industry.
It was a male-driven industry. And then I wanted to be a nurse, but to become a nurse, you had to get into the hospital, and it was just, it was a shit show. Yeah. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that. And my younger sister was looking through the paper with our mum and noticed that there was a hairdressing apprenticeship on offer on the terrace. And they both said, why don't you just apply for it? So I applied for it. And I found out later that the lady that was doing the interviews, she was doing a bit of a scowl, like, okay, every third phone call I'll take their name and number, and then after that she'd ring us, and then after that phone call she picked every fifth person she picked to bring in for an interview, and out of the interview she picked 3 to come back and do a day's work in the salon. Out of the 3, I got the position. So I kind of felt, knowing from my faith, that that was obviously what I was meant to be doing then in life, because out of 75 applicants, I got the job. So I started with my hairdressing apprenticeship, and that was back in 1982. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. Loved it that much that my boss, partway through my apprenticeship, decided to move to Canada. She met a Canadian and decided to move to Canada. So she was selling the salon. Unfortunately, I wasn't in a position to buy the salon at that stage. I was, young, 19,
how old were you?
19-year-old at the time. But the girl across the road amalgamated the 2 salons together, and she bought it. Well, 18 months after that, so now I'm finished my apprenticeship, done my time. I'm even married with 1 child, and I was actually pregnant with you at the time. And she said to me, hey, Lee, I'm thinking of selling the salon. How would you like to buy it? And I'm thinking, 22 years old, that's scary. It's scary now at 61, but 22 years old to be given an opportunity to have a salon. So then I went for what we called like Indigenous funding through Māori Affairs, and I got a grant. And everything fell into place, and I bought my first business.
So you're 22 years old. You've got it. You're married. You've got a child. Got 1 on the way. How far is
I've got 2 children now.
So you got 2 children at this stage. How far is the commute from Purirua to the terrace?
Oh, it's about a 40-minute drive.
So 40-minute drive daily. 2 kids. Got a mortgage. Building a house. Yeah. You're crazy.
I know. Well, for many years I caught a train. I caught the train to work every day. My father told me back in the day, you do an apprenticeship, you can live at home for nothing, and I'll buy you your train ticket every month, which I remember being $72 for the month for the train. So he bought that for me, and I'd have.
It's probably $1 million now, but
well,
yeah.
Probably. And then you got to remember that my pay packet was like $50. My first paycheck I got was $49 for the week, and I thought I was killing it. $49 pay packet. Anyway, so I bought the salon, and we had that salon, and then I bought another 2 salons. So I was 27 and I owned 3 salons. Was business perfect? Hell no. But it was the learnings that you learn along the way. Yeah.
I want to intervene there. So you're in business, you're operating. How long were you in operation for with that salon?
Oh, 20 years.
So 22 for the next 15, 20 years, you're operating this business, you're running it. Are you primarily working in it, or are you working on it at some stage? Or is it the whole time you're in it?
No, for about the first 8 or 9 years, I was in it, because you got to be in it, so that you build up business. And then I had other staff work for me. Then in that time, we decided to move to Australia. So I sold 2 of the salons.
So you had 2 salons then by the stage? So you accumulated three salons. You're 20. You're what? Not even 30.
Not even 30. Not even 30. No.
Yeah.
The reality is too, Joel. If I knew then what I know now, I would have grown that mother and kept on growing it, and probably still had them.
Yeah.
But I've learnt the difference between legacy businesses, or legacy business, and business that you want to grow and scale and flick off.
Yeah.
So I had the salon on the terrace for a long time. I had a lady running it. She was just paying me, X amount, leasing, sort of like a leasing kind of thing. Back in those days, that's what you did, you know. And then we moved over here to Australia, and I knew pretty quickly that I would never return to live in New Zealand because it was so much opportunity here in Australia for my family.
I want to ask this before we go any further. When you were early in business, okay, you kick things off, when you were early starting out, did you have any mentors, anyone guiding you along the way, anyone instructing you, you know, this way or that way, or, you know, look at this? Was there anyone sort of holding your hand at that early stage, or was it wing it?
Probably my dad, really, you know, my parents, you know, because, you know, my dad went through a really horrible business. This is another story for another podcast, but I really believe that my dad was an entrepreneur. So he was way ahead of himself, you know, just way ahead of himself. Very clever man, maybe not so clever in the book side of things, and that's something that you learn. You know, you learn to be better in business. You learn to be smarter in business. Is it always easy? Hell no. You know, you're constantly over here creating because those creative juices are there for you. You're over here constantly creating, and then you're over here thinking, okay, these are the reality. I've got to make money for this. I've got to pay this. I've got taxes due here. I've got super due here. You know what I mean? Whereas because this business that I'm in now is very different to what I was in. So I had 18 was my maximum staff in any one salon. It was very easy to run a payroll for them. But again, what I know now, I wish I had known then. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, and let's just dig a little bit deeper into your mentor at that stage, your dad, his business IQ, his acumen. I have a bit of favouritism towards this man. He's my grandfather, my koro, as we refer to in Māori. But again, he was someone way ahead of his time. You'd mentioned So just talk us through a little bit about his background and the influence that he had on you early in your business career. Well,
you know, he had people that helped him as well. So he would lead me to them, you know, like, okay, you need your accountant to do this. And there's accountants and then there's accountants, right? That accountant that we had back then, he's since passed now, but he was amazing. You know, he helped me set up processes and procedures that, you know, I'm 27. I had no idea what a procedure was. All I knew was how to cut somebody's hair, how I made them feel, how to do a blow wave, how to cut some, you know, colour. Colour became my favourite thing. I was really
colour
passionate
technician,
about my colourist, being an awesome colourist, you know. So and then cutting, styling and cutting was always something that I was really passionate about as well. So he helped me put some processes in place, you know, and if there's any advice I can give anybody right now, you make sure your policies, your processes, your structures are all on point, because if they're not, you'll come unstuck somewhere.
Yeah. So like any building in construction, the foundation, the framework of it needs to be, you know, and although, like, talk us through this, although you were good at the job, you definitely needed help on the business, yeah?
100%. And I mean, like, I'm constantly, you know, there weren't people like, I think he's the best mentor in the world, but I've got a mentor right now that I wish I had somebody like him. Well, I did, I guess my dad, but he gives you the package, you know, gives you, yeah.
And it's all systemized, yeah. So you got the salons, young family. I want to ask, why Australia?
Well, like I said, my grandfather is Australian. You know, love my grandfather. You know, he was a good man. Well, I thought he was a good man. He was good to me. But I just always felt really driven to him and where he came from. You know, we would come to Australia regularly for holidays with my parents, and it was warm. You know, everyone lived down that beach. It was, and you wanted to go to the beach, and I wanted to go down to the beach and Purirua.
Titahi Bay Beach.
Titahi Bay Beach, you know, it's just, you know, where the sewage used to go out to. I wouldn't swim out there, no way. But, you know, like, you know, you go down Maroubra Beach or Coogee Beach, like, why would you not want to swim on the beach? So I guess, you know, that was always this was always Australia. You know, I remember when we landed here with you kids, you know, back in 1994 when we first came here. And I remember, that, and they still play it now. It's that Qantas song, still call
Australia home.
Yeah, right. Well, I remember.
I've been to cities that never.
Yeah, that one, right? Right, yeah, that one. Right, so, and I remember it was maybe our second morning here, and I was missing my parents, so I moved all you kids over, and we were staying in a friend's garage, Mind you, it was a very flash garage, and it was very warm and cozy. It was beautiful. And I remember that came on, and I remember sitting here thinking, I'm home. I remember feeling I'm home. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm very proud to be Māori, and I'm very proud of New Zealand, and I love that part of my home as well. I love going back there. I'm going back there this weekend, and I'm looking forward to, going back there, just sitting on my mum and dad and spending some time with them. But I do love that part of my life as well. But in Australia, there's 3 countries where I've felt that, Joel. I felt like I'm home. When I go home to New Zealand, when I come here to Australia, I put my feet back on my soil here, and I feel like I'm home. But over the past 6 years, I've also had the privilege and the opportunity of visiting where my grandmother's from, which is my mum's people, in Italy. And, I almost get emotional because, and you guys haven't been there yet, but, when one day we'll have the privilege of going as a family. But I feel home. I feel like I'm home when I go to Italy. I feel like I heal there. I feel like I rejuvenate there. So, and it's in my bones. It's in my blood.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so no coincidence that you have this energetic magnetism towards these countries, these lands, and then if you look back into your own personal history, as you mentioned, these are the places of your origin. These are in your bloodline. So, yeah, interesting that you brought that up. And there's probably plenty others out there listening to this that are like, yeah, I feel the same when I'm in Germany and find out you got German. I don't know.
Well, even just when I'm there too, I it's like fashion is my thing, right? I love fashion, and when I'm there, I can wear the most out the gate outfit that people hear and like, what the hell has she got on? But over there, it's like.
Well, you're not wearing a swan drying gumboots like in Puriro. We love our swan drying gumboots.
Nothing wrong with swan drying gumboots. Nothing. When it gets cold there.
When you're there, the Kathmandu puffer comes out. You don't care about fashion. You care about being warm. Being warm and dry.
So, when they say, you can take the girl out of the pie, but you can't take the pie out of the girl. Well, you can take the girl out of Italy, but you can't.
Just in you, yeah.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So I feel really fortunate that I live in Australia. I visit the other 2 countries. One day maybe I might get to live in Italy. I would love to have that experience. But
I'd love the intro and the welcome to come and stay at your place. Yeah, I'll be there.
Done.
Just make sure that we're breakfast in bed too is ordered. So look, your family, you've migrated here to Australia. You found the land of your forefathers. You're here. You're set up. You get going. Tell us what happens between that. If you could summarise as short a time possible, 94 through to recent times here, where we are right now in the 2000s to 2020s. What sort of happened in your business journey there? Where did you go? What did you do? Before we get to the meat of the sandwich, right?
Okay, right. So then my husband or your father and I decided that he needed a job when we got here to Australia. So he was a truck driver. That's what he did in New Zealand, was driving trucks. He was a garbologist.
That's a nice scientific way for saying that you pick up rubbish. Garbologist.
Garbologist, yeah. Anyway, he was that. And then coming over here, he decided that he'd just get a truck job so that he could provide for our family. I was also doing my hairdressing from home. That was a little bit of, bread and butter for our family. It meant that I could be a stay-at-home mum with my children as well, because I still had younger children. He started working doing swimming pools.
Is the mic close enough?
Okay, he started doing swimming pools, and and then that turned into a business for him. as years went on after he learnt the trade. And we had that for many years. Was that hard? Damn straight it was hard. You know, it's hard work getting subcontractors to come out and work for you. And, you know, my honey was just, he's a hard-working man, you know, but he was always able to provide for our family, and that is something I'll be forever grateful for, is that he worked so hard for us, and we built something that was, I now, knowing what I know, you know, like in business, you either work in your business, work on your business, or watch your business take off and just keep going with or without you being there. So the first one is you buy yourself a job. And for many years, we basically bought ourselves a job. You know, he basically bought himself a job, and he worked in it for a lot of years. But nonetheless, you know, hard-working man, and taught our children the fundamental basics of hard work. Yeah. And you'd be a product of that, like you said.
Yeah. And if I could just touch on that, you know, Dad's, you know, any day I wake up and I feel like, you know, it's too cold, it's wet and rainy, like there's always some sort of analogy or story that Dad would tell us. Like I remember this one time we woke up, it was pouring down with rain, and we're like, surely they're going to cancel the job today. And Dad just said, probably going to get wet today, wear a jacket. And I was like, so the show goes on. And so there's all these little things that I go through that, you know, there'd be times where I'm again come home late from work, and I have these memories as I'm driving in the driveway of, you know, you coming home from Michael Dibb when you used to work at Michael Dibb, and it'd be like you do late night shopping and do closes, and then you'd come in and be sitting in the driveway at like, you know, 10 o'clock at night, like, you just closed up the salon. And I have these memories of seeing these scenes. And so for me now, it's sort of like, I've got this work ethic instilled in me just from observing, you know.
And I guess, you know, like that was instilled in us too, because Dad's, your grandfather, he was on Dad's side, the same hard-working man, you know, drink by night, but without fail, 5 o'clock in the morning, up.
Work hard, play hard,
you know.
Play harder.
Yeah. So I guess that's, yeah. So we had a pool business, and you know, when it was time to close that chapter and retire your father, I knew that the work was done there.
Yeah. So you get to this point where Dad's coming to the end of his working life in terms of his, you know,
that kind of hard work.
That kind of hard work, you know. Segue into Valen Health. Talk us through the Valen Health story, the origins of it, and how it sort of came about.
Without getting emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, so Valen Health came about. It was really founded on the fact that let me take you back a little bit before Valen Health came about, because I think that's really important to understand that. You know, I think it's really important that people understand Valen, for starters. So, we'll go back to my 10 children and how that happened, because I think that's really important, because it's who we are, you know. So, my husband and I had the privilege of raising 5 non-biological children. I like to think of them as pretty special, because we got to actually handpick those ones, you know, and they blessed our lives, and nonetheless, they are ours, they are mine and my husband's, and I'll be forever grateful for our journey with them. And then we have 5 biological children. 5 of the 5 children that we had the privilege of raising, 2 of them are disabled. Shania, she's 30 now. You know, she's spastic quadriplegic, and she's just got the most amazing spirit. And then we had the privilege of raising our Valen, our Vili boy, our Vili Wheelie, our V dog, our little man, our Superman. We all had a different name for him, but we got Valen through the system, and I'll never forget the morning that I went to see him in the hospital, to meet him in the hospital, and I knew that he was going to be a part of my life or part of our life and a part of our life forever. And I remember going down the back of the hospital and seeing him on the bed, and at that time we'd been told that he had a life-limiting disease, so he didn't have a long life expectation.
Where did you get the phone call to go up to the hospital? Did you get a phone call from someone?
I got a phone call. We got a phone call from because Shania was part of the Cerebral Palsy League. We got a phone call from a gentleman that was all connected with that. But he had been in touch with somebody in our faith, in our church, and that's how the story started first. She gave him our number. He called me, and long story short, we went to the hospital to meet him, and I knew exactly where he was. We were told his name was Dylan. That's right, we were told his name was Dylan, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't seem right. It just didn't seem right. That night I had a dream about him, and I knew that his name wasn't Dylan, and that his name actually didn't even start with a D. I knew it started with a V, but I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. Many years later, I found out the correct pronunciation, but nonetheless, his name was Valen. So I got to the hospital, and the nurse said to me, he's down the back. I said, I know where he was, because in my dream, he was down the back of the hospital. So I walked down there, and I saw him, and he was, if you can imagine, a 13-month-old, 15-month-old little man lying on a bed where he can't bend his knees or his legs, and so his feet are facing out, right? Well, my father called him Charlie Chapman. His feet were hanging out.
Choppers.
So I went over, and he was crying. And so I picked him up, and I said to him, "Hey, Valen." Oh, they told me his name was Valen by this day. "Hey, Valen, my name's Auntie Leanne, and I'm going to look after you." And I picked him up, and he stopped crying. And I cuddled him for quite some time, wrapped him up, and then I went and stayed at the hospital with him that night, and I never left him. So I had to learn how to look after him because he was gastric fed. So I had to learn all that process of how to look after him.
So that's through the tube and had to be gravity
it was
fed?
through his nose, through his nasal at that stage, because we were waiting to have the
stomach put in.
The Mickey button put in. And there was lots to learn. He was oxygen dependent some days. Some days he was suctioned. He needed to be suctioned regularly. So I had to learn all that stuff. There were times where I thought, what have I got myself into? But, like the rewards outweighed the concerns. And then we after 6 weeks, I was allowed to bring him home. We had a hospital bed. I don't know if you remember that. I know you were on your mission, weren't you?
Yeah, I was away.
We had a hospital cot in our lounge, and we had discovered that Valen was blind. And so people would come in, and they would whack the cot, and he would be startled. So we had to put signs up saying, I can hear you, I can't see you. Please don't shake my cot, because that's, Anyway, life went on with Valen, and it became very natural. He became very naturally a part of us. And we would go to the doctors, and we were told in the very beginning, Joel, that, he probably wouldn't last 6 months, if that. But I'm a firm believer in the fact that if you water something, a flower, a plant, if you water it and care for it and nourish it, it grows. Mm-hmm. Humans are the same. You care for somebody, genuinely care for somebody, and you love them and you nurture them, they're going to flourish.
And on that, or ourselves, eh?
Or ourselves,
if we care for ourselves, we invest in ourselves, we water ourselves, we speak good to ourselves, we think good to ourselves, we too can flourish.
We too can flourish, right?
Yep.
And he lived, he was almost 8 when he passed. Anyway, he's passed now, and I remember it was the night before I was to bury him, and I was coming to terms with the fact of never being able to touch him again, that tangible touch, feel, my life had changed because he was it for 7 years, 7.5 years. I nurtured him, and now I had him in Shah, so I had 2 kids in wheelchairs, and now I was going to, it was just, my life was going to change considerably, and that scared me a little, And I remember talking to him, and it would probably been about midnight, and just saying to him, son, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? You're gone, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to miss you, and you go through all those emotions. That night I went through that for sure, and I fell asleep, and I dreamt about him, and in my dream he was telling me, this is not by chance, mummy, this is not by chance. Go learn the skills that you've learnt, go put them into practice, or go look after another child that needs, one of my friends that may need this assistance and help. And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I can do that. But I still didn't understand what that meant until after I buried him. And the organisation that I got Valen from approached me about working in one of their homes, which would be the equivalent of a SIL home now. And I wasn't interested because my heart was still yearning for your brother, and I didn't want to go back and care for somebody else. And then, So moving along, I went this one Saturday, and I wanted to. I always say to some of you, I say to my God or my Heavenly Father. Some might say putting it out there to a greater being,
the universe.
The universe. But I remember saying, if I go and work in this home, I need confirmation that I'm on the right path of this next journey for Leanne.
Yeah.
Right? And we had surrendered Valen's car back to the organisation because we no longer needed it. And we surrendered the car back. And a few years earlier, my sister, who has unfortunately passed away, was looking after a young girl. And she had to surrender those services because she got sick and constantly she passed. But anyway, I wanted confirmation. Saturday morning, your father took me up to this home. The garage door went up, and Valen's car sitting in there. And I'm like, holy crap, that's my baby's car, And so I went into the house, and then we went into the room, and one of the staff introduced me to the participant that I would be looking after, and it was a little girl that my sister had. So if that wasn't nothing but divine intervention for me, that I was on the right path, yeah. And so hence I went down that path of looking after that. And then I was driving home one morning, and I could hear this flapping in the wind, like an advertisement sheet of paper flapping in the wind, And I felt I felt your brother saying, "Mum, turn your head around." So I just turned to my right, and I looked over, and it's like 18 months, and you can become a nurse today. And it was King's Nursing College. So I just veered my car to the right and went over and signed up to become a nurse. And that's where my nursing journey began. I
wanted to ask you that before you go any further. Like, what was it that, was it the desire to want to help others? Was it do you believe that, like, when the nursing thing came up, you just knew this is where you needed to be? Like, what? Like
I said, Joel, right when I was a young girl, I wanted to be a nurse, but to become a nurse back then, it wasn't at school, it wasn't on a computer, it was in the hospital, and it was really hard to get into back then. Very, very hard to get in. I could have got into psychiatric nursing, but that didn't interest me. Nor does emergency nursing. So I knew back then what type of nurse I wanted to be. I wanted to do something in the caring field. Also, on a little side note, I nursed my mum. I nursed my sister. My brother and I nursed our grandfather. So I'd always been around that end of life kind of nursing, and I became passionate about that, making sure that process and that experience was beautiful. I wanted it to be beautiful because end of life is as important and as beautiful as
Start of life.
the start of life.
As a newborn,
You know, as a newborn, you know, I thought of doing midwifery, but that wasn't my calling. I didn't feel that was my calling. I felt that my calling was end of life or nurturing somebody. So, you know, I went off.
So Valen's passed.
Yep.
You start your nursing journey.
Mm-hmm.
You feel as though you're called to this new role in your life and this change. Where does Valen Health come in?
Well, prior to that, when Valen was dying, we were actually the government actually offered us some private nursing to stay overnight so that I could sleep, because as end of life, you know, there's stages where they don't sleep, or they sleep so often, or you've got to give medication, so you have lots of broken sleep. So I had asked a friend of mine if she would consider being his night nurse, but we had to go through an agency to do it. So that agency didn't normally deal with this kind of nursing, but she took Valen on, and because it was going to be a short-term thing, and it probably lasted about, I'm going to say, 4 months from the time that we got him. So when he actually passed, I collected all the information, all the notes that they needed, all the documentation, and I dropped it back to the nursing agency. And she said to me, the lady said to me, are you a nurse? And I said, no, I just, you know, caring mother, and that's why I'm bringing. She goes, well, you should go and do your nursing. And when you go do your nursing, you can be an AIN for me, which is an assistant in nursing, right?
Yep.
So I decided to go, and that's when I did the nursing. I rang her and I told her that I was going to be doing that. So she gave me a part-time job as an assistant nurse in an organisation.
Okay.
So I would visit what's now known as veteran clients in their homes. And that was when I had my passion for community nursing. That's when I realised, I want to do community nursing. So that's what I did. So I worked for this organisation. She sold. I went on to continue doing work for them until I graduated as a nurse. And then a few years later decided that I want to do something in the community. So I was initially going down the NDIS route, but that became, there's lots of hoops to jump through. And someone from Veteran Affairs approached me and said, well, why don't you apply for registration with us? So I did, and we got it. And that's how Valen Health evolved. So Valen Health evolved in doing community nursing.
So you've been in business at this stage, I don't know, 30 plus years, in terms of your salons, running and operating multiple salons, running your own, your swimming pool concreting business with your husband. You're in the day-to-day grind of all of that. You then flip to nursing. You start working for someone else, probably the first time you've been employed for a long time. Yep, you've gone through that experience. You get to this point now in your life and your career where you feel as though you're called for more to go out and start your own. Is that right? And so just talk us through that. Like, did you get some advice? Was it a light bulb moment? What sort of triggered it? Was it sitting there looking at the ceiling one night and just stewing over it? What was the trigger that changed it for you to go from being employee to start your own business, to start your business?
Tell you about that number. So your father gets sick. Right? And so it was just a little over 6 years ago. Your father gets sick, and I thought, there is no way in hell I want to do anything with pools. I don't want to go out and quote them. I don't want to go out and swim in them. I don't want anything to do with them. You
have a pool in your house?
Yeah, but I don't swim in it.
Yeah.
Don't swim in it. Don't like the pool. Don't like the beach. Don't like anything to do with water that's going to go over my head.
Yeah.
Don't like it. But I do love a hot bath.
Yeah.
Okay. So your father gets sick, and I think, there's no way in hell you boys can do the pools, and that can be a business, and that's fine, and I'll still invoice, so you go do whatever. I can that's fine. But for me, there was no way in hell I was, no. So
back to salons then.
no, I didn't want to do that either.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to call it Valen Health. It was always something I wanted to call it because I want the world to know that my baby lived, that he was real, that he was loved, he loved us, he loved unconditionally. But most importantly, he taught us as a family to love unconditionally, you know, through being kind, being tender, being, you know, just loving, just being there for him, being helping him be heard. If someone's so vulnerable, someone that couldn't tell us what he wanted.
So Valen's, for those that don't know, can you explain a bit about Valen's condition? He's non-verbal, right?
Valen was non-verbal. He was blind, but he wasn't deaf. He could hear us. He knew that he was loved. He knew when his mama walked in the room. He knew when his mummy was sad. And I knew when he was. He was just, I mean, I love all my children, don't get me wrong, Joel, and you included. I love you all.
Thanks.
But,
I remember that one.
But there is something about your sister and your brother that is an honour and a privilege to be around, you know. It's, you know, like even when you hear of these businesses that in the NDIS space, you know, you think, you know, we're their mouthpiece, you know, like we need to be more passionate, we need to be more caring and kind and considerate. And so, you know, when I hear that space has been abused, and, you know, it makes me sad.
Where does this love, care, connection come with those that are disabled or struggling or less fortunate? Where does this come from? Like, is that something that's instinctively in you? Is it something that you saw growing up? Is it something that you were exposed to from a young age? Where does this?
I always knew that I would either have a disabled child or I would be around disability.
So are you talking like you were going to have a disabled child?
Yeah,
I think I know which one's those.
Yeah. Yeah, I
think I know.
A podcast for another day.
You all know.
You know, I remember as a 13-year-old girl, you know, there was a young girl that ended up in our community and she was deaf. And her mother spotted me out of a crowd of young girls and said to me, oh, could I leave my daughter with you to sit with you, because I feel that you will look after her and you will be kind to her. And, you know, kindness is something that I don't think it's just instilled in you. I think it's something learnt as well, because, you know, like, not everybody finds it easy to be kind. I remember when Valen died, you know, a cousin of mine said to me, well, he didn't say it to me, he said it to one of our other cousins, I don't understand why she's so emotional, because she only fostered him, she only adopted him, you know, I don't understand that, because whether you're adopted, whether you're fostered, you know, I think it's in us to be kind. My father told us, kindness no money can buy, but it will return you tenfold. I mean, I had the privilege of being kind to a little man for 7.5 years who blessed my life and who continues to bless my life.
Yeah.
You know, continues to bless my life. So Valen Health was started in, you know, my girlfriend and I on our kitchen table, ringing around, figuring out how we get a license to do our NDIS and how we get a license to do our thing. Then it started, we had to ring up an organisation to help us get our policies, processes ready, so that we could submit those to an organisation so that they could see that we were, you know, that we were legit. We were a company. Then we formed a company. Then we formed, you know, these, because there's like these processes that you do. You don't just wake up one day and think, yes, I'll have a business and I'll start it today.
I'll have a company with 100 staff, thanks.
Yeah.
Would you like that today or tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's something that you build on, right? And so, so Valen Health. I remember our first client was a non-paying client. Although she was a DVA gold card, it was it was non claiming. Couldn't claim her. Her family paid us, but we couldn't claim her. And every morning we would go and we would look after this woman's personal cares. So that my girlfriend and I, Auntie Lisa and I, would go there together so that we could, she was like our guinea pig. This is what we want to do. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. This will be our process around showering. This will be our process around doing her meals. This will be our process around making her bed. So we had all these processes that we were learning on the job, and her family were immensely grateful. It's Auntie Melinda and Alf, immensely grateful for it. So when she passed, we knew that we were skilled enough to go in and look after somebody in the palliative care space, doing personal cares over. And then we got accepted to be a DVA provider. And one of my first clients that I ever signed up with another organisation, I always said to him, I'm going to start my own. I said to her son, I'm going to start my own nursing business. I didn't know what kind of nursing I would be able to tap into first, and he saw my Valen Health car drive past, and he said to his mum, she started. So he rang me, and I told him that I'd become a DVA provider. So he said that his family wanted us to, so there was a process that you've got to do to go and get that. So she became our very first client. She's still with us today. She's almost 100, but she's still with us today. She's frail, but she's still with us today. And and then it just sort of snowballed. And we've always tried to do things that are a little bit different. Offer different services. So that's how Valen Health evolved.
Crazy. So you start the business off, you bootstrap the whole thing yourself. Like, where did you have to go get funding? Did you have to did you request? Did you borrow money? How did you do this whole thing? How did it kickstart?
We didn't. We didn't. We don't. We funded it all ourselves. I mean, we funded it all ourselves. Like, to start, I don't have a business loan or anything like that. So it's just claiming.
Work,
what we
look
do,
after, serve, provide, claim.
Yeah.
You're for someone out there, for those that are listening, that are they're on the edge. They're sick of being employed. They want to make the change. They're looking at your example, for experience of others that they feel inspired, called to greater things, want to go out and do their own thing. They want to take that jump. What advice would you give someone who wants to take that jump and take that step into creating their own business?
Reach out. Reach out. I'll gladly help anybody that wants to better themselves and do something for themselves, because this industry needs good providers, good people to help, genuine people that really want to make a difference and do it correctly.
What I'm hearing there when you say reach out, so you're saying connect with others that have done it, connect with like-minded people. I think for me, one of the key movers of allowing my business to take off and to be in progression is I had you and Dad to mentor me from the start for many years, and to coach me through it. So when something hit the fan, I had someone to turn to lean to. So would you say that? So do you know, or do you offer, or do you know anyone that offers mentoring, coaching for?
100%, yeah. I mean, I think there's some, before you get to that. I mean, I gladly show somebody a blueprint of what you need to do to start it. I have a mentor.
Yeah.
I have a coaching crew, as you know, that are around me, and I pay for that.
Yep.
That privilege, but not everybody will be able to start to do that straight off.
But would you agree that instead it may not be an investment of money to start off with, but it may be an investment of time. Yeah. It may be an investment of traveling to interstate, arrange a meeting, organize a lunch, reach out and communicate. Making the investment to get with those people, if you're really serious about it, right? Do you agree? If you're really serious 100%. About it, get around like-minded people. They say that was it eagles don't hang out with chickens or something, chickens can't fly with eagles, but getting around yourself those people that want to fly, they want to do those things, just associate yourself with them, and it's going to make it a lot easier, right, to take that jump.
I remember when I first started on my mentoring journey, I didn't even realize I needed that. I didn't even realize I needed that. I thought I'd just carry on doing what I've always done. But they also say that there's that saying that say if you want change, you have to change. You can't expect to do the same thing and not get any change, not get a different result. You need to sometimes step out of that comfort zone. I think it's a fair enough statement, and I think you'd agree with me. Like, I'm not the same woman that I was a year ago. Yeah. I'm not the same woman that I certainly was, in 1982 when I started my hairdressing either. But you take some knocks in life, and you take some good and bad challenges that mold you and teach you, and you're gonna find that in business.
Well, that takes us back to the theme of the show, where every voice matters. It's about inspirational stories. It's about winnings and learnings, and sometimes you got to take them both, and carry on. Because it's part of the journey, right? The only way you fail is if you quit. So you've been on this, I would say, this upward trajectory in business for a long time now. You kicked off Valen Health. You bootstrapped it on your own. You started in the kitchen in your house, and then your first office space was the garage that I helped fit out, and we chucked an aircon in there. We got chucked some fans. My wife Zita joined the team, and so we went from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and then as the evolution of the business continued to grow, where are we at right now with Valen Health? We started off with one free client in 2020 something, 2023?
2024, I think it was.
2023?
Yep.
Where be as specific or general, however you want to describe it, but where is Valen Health at the moment?
I'm going to say we're nationwide.
Yeah. Nationwide business?
Yeah.
You went from...
Not because Valen Health isn't just the nursing. There's other areas of Valen Health as well, and that's nationwide.
Yep.
So Valen Health has evolved over the last 4 years, and it's been challenging. It's been challenging because I've scaled really quickly, unintentionally. It just kind of happened because the DVA needed more and we needed more cares done for clients, and we just found ourselves evolving. But one thing we have taken a stand back on now is where we're going to evolve to and how we're going to evolve. So we try to go to little pocket areas that no one else goes to and develop there. So we, at the moment we're as far north as Gympie, on our way down to as far as Port Macquarie for the nursing side. We're also in WA and all the other states from our VHC side. Our NDIS side is at the moment. We're here in Queensland, but again, the process has to be right, the procedure has to be right, and are we perfect? Hell no, but we're learning as we're going, and and I've also had to. Obviously, you have to employ other people to come on board on the journey with you because you can't do something like this on your own. You can't have a multi-million-dollar business and run it by yourself. There needs to be structure there with others.
I want to ask this, and it might make you feel uncomfortable to ask this question or to even answer it, but I hate the term where people say, I'm self-made this or self-made that. We come from a tribe, we're built around, we've developed purely because of those that we're around and that we associate with and those that are in our team. Who have been your early inspirations to grow and develop into the person that you are today? I know you said your dad was one, but is there anyone else that has helped you to become the person, the leader that you are today, to lead this national organisation.
Back up a minute there before I answer that question. You know, like there's a lot of fundamental stuff around being in business, you know, that people don't like to talk about, that people in business, you know, I don't like it when people say, you know, I'm a self-made, because there's no such thing. I don't believe that you're just self. You can have a self-made self.
Yeah.
And you can have self-made growth on yourself, and you can have self-made, but you're actually influenced by others to get there. Do you know what I mean? Whether good or bad. You know, like I watch different podcasts or different influencers out there right now, you know, and some of them good, some of them bad, some of them just like the attention. And that's good if that's your buzz.
Yep.
You know, if that's your buzz. So, but nonetheless, they influence people, you know, good or bad. You're influenced by anybody and everyone. I've learnt to keep my cage really, really close to me, and I only let certain individuals in to influence me now. One, I only have a, you know, I'm 62 this year, so my working space, I don't think I'll ever retire, because I think that would be boring, but I know I will slow down.
Yep.
You know, and hopefully you guys will take over, but I will slow down, right? So my mentor that I have is only a young man. He's a very young man, and I want to tell you how I got there, how I got to be one of his students. Was when I was doing my nursing, I got a job working in a Bupa home, residential home, and I was nursing a client there, being kind, being gentle, listening to her needs. Her voice counted, her family's voice counted. I was running a floor, and I made sure that I reported back everything that this family's needs, so that then they were heard. That family remembered it. I consequently have a good relationship now, though the mother and the father have now gone on, but I have a good relationship with their daughter. Their daughter sent me an invitation. She knew that I just started Valen Health. I had 3 staff, 3 of us that nursed. I had an admin girl and or a couple of admin girls, and Zeta was part of that marketing side as well. But I took my 3 nursing team and one of my admin team to this event, and I was thinking about how we could make it a team building thing. So I decided that we would go up to this event. It was in Brisbane. It was a free event, a free summer event, and I was I went out and I bought us all Peter Alexander pajamas. I booked us into a hotel where we had adjoining rooms, and I wanted it to be
team bonding.
Team bonding, having fun, you know.
Yep.
So we went out for dinner, we came back, we all put our pajamas on, we were jumping all over the beds like we were taking photos and that. So it was something that we was going to
build culture,
build this culture. And we had a great time. We were up there, we had a great time. Got up the next morning and we went off to this event, and it was actually Janine Ellis was one of the speakers, Boost Juice, who actually I really wanted, because I'd never heard of the guy that she told me about. And I went up there and I wanted to know how she did it, because, you know, she's so successful. But she got up there on stage, you know, and she told us the hard knocks. Had to sell her house to get herself, you know, like, I was thinking, wow, you know, you just think that they just evolve and this business starts. Yeah, it did start, but it starts through hard slog. Then out on stage comes this young stripling 39-year-old young man, and he's telling us all about his thing, and I'm thinking, he has got to be full shit. You know, he's got to be full of rubbish. How the heck can someone like him at that age be like that? There's got to be a crush. You know, There's got to be a crux here. There's got to be a catch. And anyway, as the day went on, we broke for lunch, and I remember walking out with my team, and I said to him, that guy's got me captured. When we go back after lunch, I want to see what he's selling, because I want to be a part of it. And they all jumped up, yeah, me too. Anyway, he went in, and we went back, and he said for the next, you know, he gets up and does a spiel, and then he says for the next 20 minutes, the first people up there that want to come to my event in Sydney, you can have it for half price. So obviously I'm first up there, and I signed up, and I thought that was it. You know, we'll go down to Sydney, I'll listen to what he has to say, and I went down to what we now know as Empire Mastery. 4 days, and just jam-packed wealth of knowledge, right? And I paid $1,500 to go to this event, and I thought I'm going to the sky, thinking that was it. You know, you went there and that was it. Well, I've learned that wasn't it. But I also knew that if I was to grow my business, I needed to be around like-minded people like him that were going to influence me, that were going to encourage me, that was going to help me grow this to what I got today. So I went to Sydney, went on this 4-day, which I thought was what it was, and learnt that, no, it's actually a program. And, you know, like no one teach. It's a little bit like when you went on a mission, you know, and what you learnt over those 2 years could take a whole lifetime to learn. Yep. And I just found that being a part of this group, I've learnt other ways to continue to project forward. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the lead-in question that I wanted to ask here. You know, in this whole learning experience that you've had, this learning, this development, to get to this position where you've grown this, you know, company with your team, like what things have helped shorten that learning curve? Like if there was, because we're talking, our audience is, you know, those that are potentially looking to grow or start or start their own business. How can you shorten that learning curve? What we're talking about, that sometimes you have to just go through it. Yeah. Sometimes you do. It's necessary.
Well, I think it's an individual thing too, Joel, because everybody learns differently, right? Yep. So, you know, like I've got staff that work for me that I think, I'm sure I repeated this to you last week.
Oh, yeah, I've got those too.
I'm sure I repeated this to you last week. In fact, I'm positive I repeated that to you too.
In fact, our systems and procedures say that.
That's right.
We covered this.
It's over in that file there, and that, you know.
We love our workers, yeah.
You know, so.
I don't listen at the best of times, so I don't even follow the dishwasher schedule that the wife gives me.
Yeah, well, I suggest you learn that pretty good. But, yeah, no, I think that, you know, like, I think it's an individual thing, and I'm not a fast learner, and my mentor will tell you that, because he feels that he's the same. When he's not a fast learner either, but once I get it, I run with it. So I've always, you know, believed that if something's working, well, why try and fix it if it's working, you know? So I've been on this journey with my mentor now for. I'm going into my 4th year, and not everything he says do we have to do today. You know what I mean? But I do put it in my little book of tricks over there. One day you may need this. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, I've learnt that the people that are in my circle, because that's what we call it, it's a circle, and my people that are in my circle are all wanting the same projection, you know, all want the same end result. We all want to grow. There are people in there that don't even have a business yet, but want one. Yep. There are people in there that have a business and have been bankrupt and have, you know, had to start all over again. There are people that have got multiple businesses. Some of them are earning, you know, 3 figures. Some of them are earning 7. Some are earning 9. Some are earning more. But it's not about how much money you're making. He's not interested in what people are making. He's interested in what we're doing with our skill set and our businesses to continue to impact, rather than just straight up.
How we impacting our communities, our teams, how we grow.
He's big on that. What we're giving back to you know, like he has a coaching program within his thing where he believes that, you know, everyone should. And I've never really had aspired to do that.
To coach.
Yeah. Well, coach like that, you know, like, you know, because my time is precious in what I've got. You know, I've got a disabled daughter, I've got a frail husband. So my time with my family when I'm not there is really important to me.
Yeah.
You know, my
Time
time
and
with my
season,
honey
yeah.
is really important to me because I'll never get that back when it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe it's a time and a season for that,
Yep.
and that's not my season right now.
So where are we at in the business right now? You're in multiple locations. How many offices have we got running at the moment? We've gone from the garage to how many offices?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4? Yep.
4 and 2 satellite. So, yeah,
So-
offices, and we're about to open another one. Well, we're about to open the 4th one properly in Port. But we, yeah, it's, you know, whether you got one office or it's all it is another expense, you know what I mean? But you like for me, I've strategically done it because of what the need of the clientele that we have.
Yeah. Growth is growth, right? It's you know, when we're in it, sometimes it's hard to see the beauty of the forest because we're in it, and you get out and you're like, holy heck! You look back, man, that's a beautiful forest. You know, when you're outside the trees.
That's a beautiful thing. Like we've got an office in Sunshine Coast, and we're set up there, and I love going there. One, because I get to sit out, look over the hinterland, and meditate. Because sometimes when you're in it down here, it's really hard. You know, my family life's here too, so when I'm at home on the Gold Coast, it's hectic.
Yeah.
It's busy. When I go to the Sunshine Coast, I'm able to just stop and chill and think things through. Like we had the opportunity of talking to one of our staff who lives in Gympie, and so that will be our next when we're up Sunshine Coast. We want to travel to Gympie because I have nurses that travel between Gympie to the Sunshine Coast every day.
Shout out to Gympie, we're on our way.
Well, we are there. We're already there.
Yeah.
So I love my projection for our business growth there.
Yeah.
I love where we're heading to next as well, and you know we've got some other things that I'm really excited about starting too. I mean, which we'll talk about in one of our other podcasts.
Well, I want to get onto, you know, like in the short term, some future ambitions, but just quickly, in this whole time that you've kicked this off, Valen Health, it's grown exponentially. It's, you know, it's developed really quick. What's been your most common challenge that you've faced? Staffing.
Yeah, staffing. You know, like and teaching them the Valen way. You know, which you've been implementing some wonderful stuff there, and our people and culture side of things that you run. Yeah, it's getting the right stuff. You know.
Yep.
It is.
And again, because the personnel that we have there right now, you know, it's getting the right people on the bus, all rowing on the boat, all rowing in the same direction, all trying to be unified, not necessarily standing at the front and saying this is the way forward, but standing behind and coaching and supporting and mentoring. So knowing that staffing has been an issue, what are some things that you implement? What are some strategies that are helping you to?
Well, we have like programs that we've got now. That one that you've been offering there, and we do trainings every quarter, and we had one just last week at the office, and just to see the morale lift. Even then, you know, the one that you ran with the management team to see their morale lift again too. You know, I mean, I have staff that come on and that tell me that they've never been to an induction like what we do and what we offer. But we have to offer that because we're so vast, you know. You know, now that we have vehicles on the road as well, because you know you've got the kilometre. Like it's hard being in business. Like you know, we have to pay out so much before we can actually even make anything. So there's all that stuff that you've got to consider. But one of the staffing is, and I think staffing will always be. But we've got a great team coming on. We just took on a few on the Gold Coast just recently, and even my older staff that have been there have said, oh wow, these new staff that have come on have got some great skill sets, have got some beautiful attitudes, because it is about attitudes, you know, and it is about. But I've also learnt to never judge a book by its cover, because you know I've employed some staff and I thought, I don't know how that's going to work out, and they've been my best staff. So
So talent acquisition, right? So looking for those leaders. Are you a big proponent in scouting out talent and recruiting, or are you someone that's going to build up the ones that you have and then cross-pollinate them throughout your leadership?
That's what we've been doing, because it's very hard. It's very hard to, we've got a couple of nurses that have started with us that have come from the gym, actually, the gym next door, but they were they're RNs, and my biggest fear for them coming from the hospital, because the hospitals,
Full noise, yeah.
Community can be a little bit more boring, but the nurses that I've got, have said things like, we've actually enjoyed being caring for a client, actually doing, what we say, we sign our oath to when we become nurses, so, yeah. So, we as much as that is a problem, we've got some really good staff coming through now too.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, touching back on what you said before, future ambitions, in the short term for Valen Health, where are we going? What are some things that you're excited about on the radar? You talked about growing into a new area or taking off. What are some future ambitions for Valen Health that you're looking forward to?
Future ambitions. I think one of the most things that sticks out in my head right now is growing actual managers in certain areas,
Yep.
And we have some staff that have already expressed, I'd love to be a team leader. And, those particular staff, when they first came on board, were not, were shy and timid, and now they want to be, because they've caught the vision of where we're going and what we want, they want to be part of a lead role in making sure that that's implemented all the way down. So I think that's quite exciting.
What about Leanne? What are some future ambitions for Leanne moving forward? You're at a pretty unique time in your life. You've stepped out of the threshold of being, you're still mum, but all of your kids are all now adults. Most of us have all flown the coop 2 minutes down the road, but we come back every weekend and every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night for dinner.
Any other way.
Yeah, parking all down the road, getting tickets. So where you're at, what's next for you? What's some future ambitions for you? What are some things you're looking forward to in the next sort of 3, 6, 12 months ahead? Without giving away too much.
Without giving away too much, because I've got something pretty exciting that I'm working on right now, and it's in the wellness space, but it's still very different to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And it's along what I have been doing for a long time as well. So without giving it away too much, I've got some, I've got some big things.
But you mentioned that you're off to New Zealand next week.
Yeah.
You've just come back from some travel. Is travel in there?
Definitely.
Yeah. So you've done a few countries in the last little while. I think you've done a few, and you've done a few trips. What keeps this appetite for travel, for learning new things, for getting out there? What keeps us going? 60s, most people are sort of slowing down. You're sort of picking up in a way. Is it the freedom of getting rid of your kids? Is it the freedom? Is it your grandkids? You can choose them now. When you
no, none of that. I mean, I think for me, being purely honest with you, Joel, my whole life has been built up around my children,
Yep.
You guys, making sure that my kids are okay, making sure that I was, a good mum. I'd like to think I'm an awesome grandmother.
Yeah.
That's because I might not have always done it right as being a mum, because you, as you know, when you become a parent, you don't get given a book that comes with this is how you treat Joel, this is how you treat Ray, and when Ray gets to 13, he's going to need to be treated like that. It doesn't happen like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when Joel gets to 16, or when Jordan, that child, I need a bloody encyclopedia.
when Jordan gets to Jordan.
Need an encyclopedia for that one. But when you don't come with manuals that tell us how to raise our children. But nonetheless, my life was always around my children, making sure that you know, your footy clothes were ready, you had lunches, you had dinner, you had you were taken to your sporty activity, whatever. And my life was, I felt like I put my life on hold,
Yeah.
and now I'm reclaiming it. It's
Yeah.
my turn now.
Bloody oath. I would.
And you know,
Couldn't
and
agree more.
you know, and like, you know, your father getting sick didn't, you know, also made me realise that, you know, how fragile life is.
Yeah.
And whatever time that is for any of us, you know, like I just got to make sure that I'm prepared for whatever that next journey is, even by myself. You know, I might have to do, you know, don't like thinking like that, but that's the reality. You know, is that we're not all going to be here forever. But I that's why I love going to Italy. And I mean, I know it's on the other side of the world and it's away, but I find peace there. I find strength there. I find that I evolve there. I find like I'm, you know, like I shed a layer of me that when I come back, I'm a stronger person. I'm, you know, growing up in a community of a religious community as well, you know, a church-based community that I grew up in as well, and consequently so did you guys. They gave me a great foundation, but it didn't. It's not where I found my true identity. Do you know what I mean? I found that now I know who Leanne is. I know what Leanne can do. And I wish I'd known that, and I wish I'd like to think that I'm instilling that now in my grandchildren, if not my children too, that you guys have seen me evolve. I'm not the same. I'm not the same woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like to think that you guys think that I'm fun to be with and all that sort of stuff. But as an individual, I would like to think that you guys would all have seen me evolve into the woman that I was always destined to be.
Yeah.
You know, so I you know, I have my faults. Don't get me wrong. I still lose it. I still, but I would like to think that those things are further apart now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not that. I'm not so reactive. I'm more interactive now and more understanding. I
Do you think that comes to just with time, like wisdom, experiences, reflection, looking at where you're at now, and like, because oftentimes, even me as a parent, we sort of just we're surviving. We're just trying to breathe. We're just trying to get through the next day, trying to get through the next series of things.
Yeah, so. I think that I grew up I'm the oldest of 8, and I'm the oldest of 8 children, and the expectations that were put on me as I probably put them on you guys as well, and and I publicly apologise for that if we did that wrong. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that you were all loved, and you were all well cared for, and now your children are too.
Yes.
So I'm about making sure that. Even though some of your siblings don't see things the way that we do, whatever that looks like, that's their journey, and I'm at peace with that.
Well, we've come to the pointy end of the spear, and we've sort of wrapped that over, and with lots of winnings, lots of learnings, lots of inspirations. But as we wrap up the end of this yarn with Mum, I've got a few questions, just some quick fire questions, just shoot from the hip. I'll say them, you just answer them, and we'll try to get through them. I only got about 5 or 6 of them. You good?
Yep.
Okay. What book are you reading? Are you reading a book?
I am. Let Them.
Okay. What is that? Is it Mel Robbins? Oh, Mel, she's a weapon.
She is a weapon.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be listening to this one day, old Mel.
Yeah, well, I would love to meet her. I would. She's one woman I'd really love to meet.
Yeah, super inspirational. I'd love to get her on the potty.
Trinity London's another one who inspires me.
Oh, yeah, these are some
I'd love
weapons.
to meet those two women.
Jeepers, Mum, you're exciting me. Eh?
I'd
I
love
don't
to
know.
meet those two women.
I thought it might have been some music. I don't know, love novel or something. I don't know.
No.
Awesome. Okay, so yep. Podcast, favorite podcast, or is there a podcast that you prefer to listen to? Probably Mel Robbins, eh?
Yeah, Mel Robbins. She's the only podcast I've listened to.
Yeah. Where did you get onto Mel Robbins?
Actually, my daughter-in-law bought me a book one day, and I picked it up and read it, and I've just been following her ever since. Yeah.
Holy. Oh, well. Yeah, Mel Robbins. That's awesome. Greatest advice you've ever received? I've asked you this one before, but for our listeners and our viewers, the greatest advice first comes to mind that you've ever received.
Be kind. Be kind. And I say that because there are times when there are shitty times and you want to not be kind, but just be kind.
Great advice. Yeah, it's always hard, especially in those sticky, tough, difficult times where contentions are high.
We recently had to let a staff member go, and it was very, very hard to be kind because what they did was not kind.
Yeah.
But it was very hard to be kind. But, you know, the reward from that was a thank you from her. A thank you. Because it's easy to be mean. It's easy to be reactive.
Yeah.
It's easy, but it's not always easy to be kind in awkward situations or in bad situations.
Great advice.
Very nice
I think that's great advice there. Be kind even in the shitty situations. Favorite holiday destination and why? I think I've got my, I know what this would be for you, but favorite holiday destination and why?
Italy. And particularly for me, you know, I love the Amalfi. I did a women's retreat there, and they took us up into the highland of Vico Quince, which is a lovely little town along the Amalfi Coast, inland. And you know, I sat up there in that space where there were old castles up there that were ruins of them. You know, and to think that on the other side of the world, I mean, you look out to Capri and you look out to Napoli and you think, you know, the wars that took place up there are people of my blood, the same blood that ran through them runs through me. And I just feel so connected. Like I get emotional, Joel, because I feel so connected to, when you say Italy, Italy's a big, like, it's a little country, but there's lots of little towns in there, and your father and I have travelled around to Sicily, and Jordan tells me that's his favourite part of Italy is Sicily, and the Amalfi is not only is it a destination where everyone goes on holidays and it's a wonderful place to holiday, but there, when you're up in the ruins of it, it's magical.
When you were over in Sicily, did you meet the Godfather, Don Corleone? No, he didn't. Oh, spew. He's gone with Hollywood, eh? Yeah, great. Yep, that's got to be on the radar for holiday destinations. Okay, where does your faith come from?
Are you talking about
the origins of your faith, your belief in yourself or in a higher power?
Actually, this could be quite a controversial sort of question answer, but I'm going to answer it anyway because it's truly how I feel. So I've grown up my whole life as what's known as a Mormon, or I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And my parents raised me in that faith, and for many years I hung on to their coattail. You know, I went because it was the good thing to do. My parents asked me to do it, so that's what I did. But it wasn't until I was 26 that I really found my foundation in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And to have him in my life, he is at the front, behind, in the middle. He is my core. And so I believe what I have been taught is true because it sits comfortable with me.
Beautiful.
And I know I'm a daughter of God.
Love that. I don't think you can dispute it when someone knows it. And, there's lots of, I've been to university, I've studied lots of, wonderful things. I've watched lots of YouTube videos. And when someone has something that they can't dispute because of the feeling in here, it's not even about like the actual, like, the facts and all of that type of thing. It's more about how does it sit in here. For example, footy. You cannot convince me that there's a better sport in the world, because in here it sits for me. For someone else, it might be tennis. Good on you, mate. But it's great to see that.
Traveling to Italy for me.
Yeah. It's great to see that sits well with you and the origins of your faith. Couple more here. You got 10 kids.
Yeah.
You got 30 what grandkids?
31.
Who's your favourite?
All 31 of them.
Nah, you're rubbish.
I have a boss. Everyone knows who he is.
Okay.
But and that's only purely because I was Nani. I was his first, the first time he called me Nani. But no, in all fairness, Joel, I love, the reality is I am close to, because that's the nature of the relationship.
Yeah.
So if I have a relationship with my grandchildren, that's all blessings to me.
Yep.
But I don't see all our grandchildren, but I love all my grandchildren.
No, I love that, and they see you. Well, last one. What is your message you want to leave with the world?
There was one true message that I would like to leave, or would like to make sure that everyone remembers me for, other than being kind, is to be brave. Be brave to take those steps that you need to take to start a business, to be a better mother, be a better person, be a better business person, because you do have to be brave to step out on that. Even doing this is so out of my...
Got to let you know, viewers, listeners, probably took us about 5-10 minutes of calming this one down before we got in there. Man, we're just having a chat. Okay?
Yeah.
And they're coming in on our chat. It was easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say easy, but it was good.
Well, I think for an hour and a half you spoke pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's topics that I like too, so it made a difference. But being brave. Recently, I went on this women's retreat, and I had a ring that I bought in England, and on it says, "Be brave, be kind." And brave is certainly a word that I've known I've had to step out and take, because there's controversy in all you do. I haven't got people I know that are like, "Oh yeah, what's she doing now?" That kind of thing. But I'm brave enough to say, I've done it. I'm doing it. Yep. And I'm loving life. But be brave. Go out there and do it.
Be brave, people. Be brave. There it is. So for all our listeners and for those that are tuning in, how can they get in touch with you, connect with you, ask a question, create an opportunity to sit down and have a yarn with you, pick your brain, if you have a minute or two to share? How can they get in touch with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably email.
Yep.
Leanne at Valen Health. So that's LEEARN at valenhealth.com.au.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Mum. Thank you, Leanne, for being in the studio today, taking the time out of your day, have a good yarn, pick out some of your winnings and learnings, inspire the next generation. And for everyone out there that's tuning in, thank you for your support. Stay tuned. We've got plenty more to go.